Hello everyone, my name is Sterling Concept and you are welcome to my YouTube channel. How are you doing today? Thank you very much for subscribing to my YouTube channel, and for those of you that have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to Sterling Lomo Media so that you can get to enjoy some of these beautiful and educative, entertaining videos. Thank you. Today being the 23rd of June, it's another International Widows Day, and I'm here to talk about the pain and the agony or the cry of widows. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate every foundation that is supporting the widows all over the world, and also to appreciate the individuals that have been supporting the widows under my own foundation. I want to pray that God in His infinite mercies we continue to enrich your pockets, and we continue to reward you bountifully. You are really doing the heart of God, and you are doing the will of God. And like I always say, the best religion that I know is humanity. Thank you very much. I don't want to be mentioning your names. I want to appreciate every one of you. Like I usually say that widowhood is a very terrible stage. But I just want to also comfort whoever is newly bereaved, the fresh widows. I'm sorry, permit me to use that word, because those that are just experiencing widowhood freshly. I always have it or make it a point of duty that whenever I come across anyone who is in that state, freshly or newly, I always try to tell them that, look, all these people that you are seeing, all these people that are bringing gifts to you, all these people that are so concerned about you, like you are all that matters to them right now, are just going to be here for the meantime. You are not going to continue to see them. This crowd you are seeing, you are not going to continue to see them. This attention, you are not going to continue to get it. These calls, you are not going to get it. You are not going to continue to get it. As a matter of fact, this same set of people that are calling you regularly, morning, afternoon, nights, will at some point ignore your calls. Yes, and that is the truth. So each time I get to see a woman who just lost her husband, I try to encourage them to begin to learn how to, even in that state, as fresh as it is, learn to begin to use your tongue to count your feet, because life has happened, and that is the truth. Life has actually happened to you, and I want everybody to understand that widowhood is a different kind of life, because when a woman experiences widowhood, her life changes from a normal direction to another direction. Like it becomes a different life entirely, because widowhood, I tell people, at some point people always want to feel that being separated or being divorced is as easy as it's the same as being widowed. No, I am sorry, it is not the same thing. They are not the same thing. I am going to explain the reason why they are not the same thing to you. Being a single mom could be the same experience, but being a widow is different from being a divorced or separated parent. Now, if you are separated, you have the opportunity to kind of, I have seen people who have been separated for years and they still came back as husband and wife. I've seen people whose case of divorce case has even been in the court. They go to court, and because the case kept going back and forth, in the process of the court, case going on, they discover that, hey, babe, come. I even see that despite this gap between us, despite the separation, despite we are seeking divorce, I see that you are even still better. Despite all your weaknesses, I feel you are still better than people I have met along the line. So can we just take this case out of court and come back to our normal life, and then especially when the children are insisting they come back and they are acting funny. Children can be very funny. They can be elements of they can be symbols why you have to come back sometimes when you are experiencing a divorce process. So now what I'm trying to say is, I have seen people who have even been divorced, who had even gone to court, and yet they still came back as husband and wife, even have children afterwards, and then they still live as best couples ever. I have seen such. But the truth is, once a partner dies, you can no longer see that person. There is no reconciliation. There is no um, there is no there is no court that can bring you people back. There is no family discussion. There is no mutual understanding that can bring you and a dead spouse together. And now another thing is, when it comes to the financial involvement, or maybe the financial implication, people feel like, okay, I am a single mom, I'm divorced, and I'm the only person that is handling the fees of my children. I pay all my bills because their father is useless and irresponsible. Yes, you can say that. But listen to me, as a divorced or separated mother or a single mom, if you still want to have the father involved in the bill paying, or in the responsibility, or in the finances of the children, you can still get him to pay. As a matter of fact, there is a stage at which the children will get to, and they will have to get what they need from their father, even without your involvement, even without you. They know how to go to their father. It's just a matter of time. The children know how to go to their father to request for whatever they want, by fire, by force, and either he likes it or not, he's going to get it done. So now come to think of somebody who doesn't have a spouse, whose spouse is late, is a different ball game. Because then, even if the father is not ready to do it, I mean your ex, your children, you can always report him to anybody in the family. Maybe his siblings, his parents, his uncles, his sisters, or whoever. But the truth is, once the person is late, you cannot do that. You cannot go to a dead person to fight him, to scream, to yell. Like you can do that to your ex. You can yell, you can file a court case against him. You can yell, you can scream, you can report him, you can do anything to get him involved in the responsibility of the children. But somebody that is late, you can't go to his grave and begin to yell, to begin to scream, to sue him to court. If you do that, people will quickly take you to the nearest psychiatric hospital, because they will believe you are going insane. So what I'm saying in essence is that there is a difference between being a widow mother and being a divorced mother. So because I see a lot of people trying to mix things up. So please and please, I am not seeking pity on behalf of the widows, but I'm trying to tell you, I'll make you understand that they need our care, affection, and love more, because it is quite hard for them. Now, you have to stay connected to a widow. Those are the ways to help a widow. You have to stay connected to them. This is because widowhood is draining. Widowhood is mentally and emotionally draining. But people don't get to understand it, especially when it happens to a strong person. People believe that, okay, now even the issue of widowhood in our society, we need to begin to get rid of some certain cultures, some certain beliefs, and some strange attitude like stigmatization and all of that. It's quite killing. Now, the pain of losing a spouse is enough pain for a widow, because losing a spouse is quite painful and traumatic. That's one thing I want us to know. It is quite traumatic. Like, for you to even get out of that situation, it's a difficult thing. And in some part of Africa, we don't believe that people die natural death, especially when a woman dies. It is the act of God when the husband dies, it is the woman that killed him. And so we begin to accuse this person negatively. We give a kind of attitude that is even draining the woman more. And when you look at all these things, we discover that it is usually done by the immediate family, who should even show love, attention, care, and affection. It's so unfortunate. But I just want us to know, people will say, God forbid that this happens to me. Yes, everybody forbids such. Nobody be praised for evil to befall him or her. Like, there is nobody that will wake up and say, okay, as I'm getting married, I want to experience widowhood as a young woman. Nobody prays for such. But it happens. That's why I say life happens. And when it happens like that, we don't say because it is not happening to me, then let the person who is experiencing that go and search herself. Because I see a lot of times we judge, we condemn, we abuse, we neglect widows based on the feelings that maybe she's responsible for her own predicament, or that is her own cross. Sometimes we act like, okay, maybe she's just not prayerful enough, or she's just not upright enough. I want to say to us that being prayerful has nothing to do with becoming a widow. A lot of people who are widows, young widows today, are more spiritual, they are more religious, they are more upright, they are better than a lot of people whose husband are still alive. So it is not about being spiritual or about being religious. So if you are not experiencing widowhood right now, that does not make you perfect. That does not make you righteous. That does not mean that you are holier than somebody, or your friend, or your neighbor, or your sister who is widowed. You see, life, and I want us to understand that death is not the end of life, it is a part of it. So whenever you come across a widow, don't look at them as if they didn't pray enough, or they are responsible for their own predicament. You have to stay connected, you support them morally, you have to be gentle on them. I see a lot of times our widows are suffering, even right under our noses, in our presence. Nobody cares. And this is why most times when a man dies, shortly after his demise, the wife too dies. Because we don't pay attention. Nobody is looking after the widow. Nobody cares what the widow is going through. Nobody bothers about her trauma. Nobody feels her pains. Even when she's ready to speak, who is she going to speak to? Who is she going to talk to? Who is ready to listen? Nobody is ready to listen. Everybody is just there doing their own thing. In fact, some people that are even supposed to give a shoulder to lean on are even giving her fire because of properties. Like, we have two kinds of widows. We have vulnerable and non-vulnerable widows. The vulnerable widows are very poor. They don't have anything. They are facing difficulties in terms of money, in terms of food, in terms of clothing, in terms of accommodation. That is not to say that all widows are the same. We have some rich widows whose husband left properties for, and that's where I will be talking to the men. What plans are you making for your wife and children when you depart here? We are going to be saying, God forbid, God forbid. Yes, God forbid. I pray none of us will die untimely death. But nobody plans for that. As in, nobody can. It's unavoidable. There is nothing we can do about it. Life has to go, and death comes. So when death comes to take you, what happens to your wife and your children? What plans are you making for your wife and your children? Today, because of your ego, because of whatever you think, you don't want your wife to work, you don't want her to have her own savings. She doesn't even have her own life. Now, when you leave, what becomes of that poor woman? So, and I'm going to say here that it is not until you give a whole word to a woman or to a widow that makes you caring. It is that attention, that attention. Sometimes what a widow needs is just your moral support, your encouragement. How do you help her in terms of what she does? How do you support what she does? How do you encourage her to be able to do more? It's so unfortunate that in our society we just leave the widows to suffer. A lot of widows are hypertensive, they are facing a lot of underlying ailments, and we don't even care. Nobody cares, like we don't care. It is only when they die that we will now come out. The husband died of recent. How come she also died a year, and that's RIP, and that's all we know how to do. I just want to say here that we have to be understanding. When a widow is around us, let's try and put that person in our shoes. This person is responsible for everything, including who are the children going to be talking to. A lot of times, some children are closer to their father than their mother. So when death takes the father away, then the woman becomes the only bearer of all of these things. The care, the attention for the children, and she has to be strong for herself too. And even in this part, in some part of the world, especially Africa, we want to believe that a woman who is widowed should not have a life again. Please, let's put all these sentiments aside. Let's put all these terrible feelings, culture, beliefs aside. You should have a life again, because if you are not strong for yourself, you are going to lose yourself in the course of finding yourself. You have to be strong for yourself, and that's one thing you need to know as a widow. You need to be strong for yourself. It is when you have yourself that you can be there for your children. A lot of times people are so frustrated, people are so they don't even have anybody to talk to. It's only the fake people that will also come around. They will act like they are coming to save you, they care, they understand your feelings, but unfortunately they don't. They are only coming to extort you one way or the other. It's so sad. It's as bad as that. So, and that's why I tell people, widows, especially when you are, finding a new love, please be careful, be observant, be careful. Be able to define what exactly you want. You can't be good for every man. And that's why I advise that if you see her find love, please go remarry. I'm going to be talking about who can a widow marry, because a lot of people are actually misleading young widows these days, and they eventually become bedwarmers in the course of searching for who to remarry, because they are restricted to a particular thing. Whenever I'm going to talk about that, I'm going to make references to the Bible where God says this is the kind of person you can marry. So don't put yourself in a box as a widow. It is not as hard as you think. Finding somebody to remarry as a widow is the easiest thing I've ever seen, biblically. So now you have to understand that as you need to hold on to yourself, you need to be there for your children. So it is important that you have to be strong for yourself. And those of us around the widows, please, let's try and avoid stigmatization. If your son is bringing in a widow for marriage, please don't criticize. That's when we begin to look at it from one angle that, oh, what happened to her husband? You don't know the kind of death that killed her husband. What kind of death? Anything, even your own son can die. And even your own son-in-law can die. So if your son-in-law dies, wouldn't your daughter move forward? So please, mother-in-laws especially, let's be careful with the way we address widows because of stigmatization, because we just want to feel like, who knows what she did, who knows what happened. Please, let's be careful. Let's be supportive. Widowhood is overwhelming. Widowhood is draining. It's traumatic. It's painful. It's a terrible situation. that one will not even pray for his or her enemy. It's not funny. It's not as easy as we think. I tell people when they say they understand. If I tell them, you cannot understand. You can only imagine. You cannot understand widowhood except you are wearing that shoe. That's when you can understand. Either as a widow or as a widower. It is not easy. But emphasis is being laid on women because we believe they are weaker vessels. Women go through a lot in widowhood. They go through a lot. They do a lot of things to save themselves, to save their faces, to save their lives, to save the life of the children. And so, if you are not there for a widow, please don't judge them. Don't condemn them. Don't look down on them. Don't speak down on them anymore. If you have been doing that in the past, please stop it. If you are the type that feels all you can do for a widow is just to extort money from them or cheat them based on the fact that they act vulnerable, and you are coming to say, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I want you, I will marry you, I will be there for you, I will love your children, just for you to be able to get out of whatever the husband left behind. Or maybe you feel the woman is a rich widow. Like I said, we have some rich widows that are well-to-do. They are not hungry. They have enough. They have enough properties. They have enough wealth. They have enough money in their account. Even aside their husbands are so much empowered them that they cannot suffer. But life has to go on because, maybe because of their sexual needs, because of their emotional needs. Life has to go on, so they still need a man. So please, you are bringing curse upon yourself if you are doing that. If you are a Muslim, go and read your Quran properly about what the Quran says about widows. And if you are a Christian, please go and read your Bible properly. So if you have been doing that, please stop it. It is not good, so that you will not bring curse upon your head and upon your generation by the way you treat a widow. It's very, very important. Now, you see, the issue of losing a partner, it doesn't heal. It's a wound that doesn't heal overnight. So please, don't be hard on yourself that you want it to go. I'm talking to the widows right now. You want the pain to go right now, as an ASAP. No, it can't go. It's not. Even if you remarry today, if you remarry as a widow, if you marry another person, you will still be missing that person that is gone. That is the truth. Because there are no two individuals that have the same character. Every individual is unique on his or her own. So there is something that is very unique about your late that you might not get in the new man, and you will continue to miss. But that is not enough reason why you should act in so much way that you now put the dead upon your head, that the living will feel jealous of the dead. So there is a way you balance it up. You have to be very careful. Like most people make references to their late in a new relationship all the time. They make references, my late was this, my late was that, trying to praise your late in the presence of a man that is newly asking for marriage. You have to be very careful with the way you do that. So I'm going to be telling us all of this. I'm not going to go deep into that because that's not what I'm here for today. Today I just want to tell us that you have to be always be strong. You have to. There is a pain. There is a feeling of loneliness. There is a feeling of grief. It doesn't go overnight. It takes time. It's a wound. After a while, it becomes a scar. It's going to be there. And the truth, especially when children are involved, there's no way you can forget this man entirely. You will continue to remember him. But like I said, it is not enough reason why you should let that affect the new relationship. So now another thing is you have to listen to yourself. And you listen. One of the challenges that the widow faces is different advices comes from different people. Different advices is a great challenge for a widow. Different advices. Some will tell you, hey, please don't remarry, just face your children. Some will tell you remarry. Some will tell you, how just be. Some will tell you don't do anything. Some will tell you just be married to Jesus. Some will tell you they will just tell you all kind of things. They will be telling you all kind of things, but these people don't know how you feel, so they are free to say. It is now left for you to listen to yourself. You listen to your inner self. You listen to your own self. What do I want exactly? That's why I say you must be ready to define what exactly you want if you are going into another relationship. So then the pain is what I'm talking about. Please, if you have to be supportive, you have to be understanding. Like I said, you have to be gentle. You need to understand. You need to support a widow around you. So many times, a lot of widow, the internet makes it look like everybody is living well. The internet, yes, because you don't expect that somebody will just come to the internet and begin to cry, I have not eaten. But as a family, as a friend, you need to pay attention to the widows around you. They're actually going through a lot. A widow, especially a strong widow, will be going through a lot, and she's not going to tell anybody. She's not going to speak up. And by the time she speaks up, that is the thing don't reach peak. So please don't let us take them for granted. This is because they don't have people to talk to. That is just the truth. Most people, most widows don't have anyone to talk to because they are actually neglected, they are actually abandoned, they are actually in a very terrible state, devastating state, and that is the truth. A lot of times there will be no money to eat. A lot of times there will be no money to pay the school fees. A lot of widows you see around, their children have dropped out of school and nobody cares. And these people, the lady has family. Even the woman has family members. But that is just to tell you that what widows go through. Nobody pays attention, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the trauma she's going through. Nobody cares about her mental health. Nobody cares about how the children are feeding. Nobody cares about her state of health, medically, mentally. You understand? Nobody cares about anything. Nobody is asking questions. So you need to pay attention if you really want to be nice. A lot of churches will just organize one program once annually, and that's all. No. Please, if you are a pastor and you are watching this, you can make it a monthly thing or a fortnight thing. Your program for your widows, for the widows in your church, should not be it should not be an annual thing, once a year. No, it's very wrong. Please, they are going through a lot, but they will not come and tell you. A widow might not have food to eat. Once they come to church, they just want to come like, okay, let me just come. They come to mosques, they just say, okay, let me just fulfill my spiritual obligation. So please, or my religious obligation. So please and please, let's pay proper attention to them. Let's be supportive. Whatever they are doing, let's support them. Let's encourage them. Let's motivate them. Let's be there for them. It's not too big a thing for a church to do every 2 weeks. To say, okay, let's organize look into their lives. I am telling you this. Look into their lives individually, not just judging them by their Facebook activities or by the way they dress to church or the way they dress to mosques or the way you see them. Most widows go to parties just to cool off, just to unwind. It's not like they are party freak, but because they just feel like I don't want to die. Let me not come and die inside this room, so they go. And then you are there judging them that she has money for parties, she has money for this, she has money for that. Please, don't let us be like that. Don't let us be like that. If you are eating, at least remember one widow. Remember, that's why God is so particular about widows. God spoke about widows in the Bible in 89 places. That is to tell you that they are the center heart of God. Widows, orphans, and fatherless children, God holds them in a very high esteem, and that's why we must not look down on them too, as human beings, as brothers, as sisters. If you are a true brother, if you are a true friend, if you are a true sister, if you are a true sibling, if you are a true neighbor, if you are a true colleague, if you are a true parent, you should be there for a widow all the time. Pray for them. Counsel them. talk to them, check up on them, visit them, support them financially in the children's school fees, the children's education. Support them so that this woman can feel relieved, so that this woman will not just die untimely, so that this woman will not just die suddenly. This is why people die suddenly after the demise of their husbands, because of the heavy load that is on them, and they cannot just come out and be talking and talking. At some point, the family gets tired of them requesting and talking to them. So I just want to beg us, and lastly, my advice to the widows is that no matter what you are going through, no matter how terrible you feel that situation is, please speak up. Please, I want to beg you in the name of God, speak up. If it requires you to cry, please cry. It is not a crime for you to cry. If you find any shoulder, let the person ignore you. If the person ignores you, please move to another person. That is, you are learning your lessons. It is better for you to speak up than to die in silence. Another thing is that you have, let emotions happen. That's why I said if it causes you to cry, you have to cry. It doesn't make any difference. You understand? Because when you cry, you feel better. You ease the burden in your heart, and life keeps going. So please and please, I just want to beg you that it is not always easy for you to bottle up all the time, and don't try to be too brave. If you are a widow, don't try to be too brave. Listen to people who have been in that situation. Listen to their experiences, because we all have our experiences, and our experiences increases our life, our life issues. So that's why they say experience is the best teacher. So listen to those who have been in that situation. Don't be too brave. Don't act like you are too brave. Don't act like I am this, I am that, because it is quite challenging. It is quite challenging, and you have to care about yourself. Like I said, you don't have to lose yourself in the course of finding yourself. You need to take care of yourself, take care of your physical health, physical look, take care of your mental health, most especially. If you need time to rest, please rest. If you need time to excuse yourself, please go stay somewhere and excuse yourself to rest, because it can be so draining. It can be so draining. Like parenting as plus widowhood can be so challenging, but you need time for vacation too. Take time off to cool off, find somewhere to put the children if they are still young, and if they are in the boarding house or universities, take time off for yourself during the time that they are not at home with you. Just take time to excuse yourself so that you can go reload and repackage yourself. So thank you, and God bless you. Please, I'm going to be rounding up now. Thank you very much. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sterling Lomo. I love you. Until I come your way again with another topic, please stay blessed and remain sweet. Bye for now.